Welcome to the Let's Talk About It podcast, where we discuss topics that strengthen you emotionally, that help you master self-care, and become the very best version of yourself. I'm your host, Priscilla. Let's talk about it. Today, we're going to talk about setting healthy boundaries. We're going to talk about why it's not selfish, and we're going to talk about how to do it with love and the freedom that it creates when you do it the right way. So let's get into it. So what are healthy boundaries really? What are healthy boundaries? I want to know, you want to know, we want to know, right? Healthy boundaries really are, they're not walls. We think that they're walls, but they're really bridges for a safe connection. When you set healthy boundaries, you're setting the stage to have good relational communication between you and people that you love and care about, people at your workplace, all types of relationships. Think about it that way, right? That way you won't feel like you're putting something very difficult in place and that people are going to think that you're mean and all of these sorts of things, right? You're making your relationships. Point number 2 is there is a huge emotional toll on boundaryless living. When you live a life where you are loose with your boundaries or don't have boundaries at all, you probably can already see how difficult it makes your relationships. People pleasing really is abundant when we live lives with no boundaries. And that's not a badge of honor to people please, because when you're people pleasing, you still find out that you can't please everybody. But the other thing is that your life is so stressful. You don't feel heard, you don't feel seen, you don't feel cared for. So setting boundaries is an amazing way. And to go back to point number 1, to create a bridge so that you're able to communicate well, you're able to express how you're feeling, you're able to have a good conversation, and not only a good conversation, but you're able to set things up in your life in such a way that you're honoring and respecting and loving yourself. And then people take their cue from you about how you are to be treated. When they see that you are careful to care for yourself well, they won't do any less than that. Point number 3 is recognizing when you need a boundary. Now, you might not think you need a boundary, but consider this. If you're emotionally exhausted, if you find that you have a lot of resentment in your relationships, if you find that you say yes when you really want to say no, right? Saying no is not a bad word, first of all. Saying no is you giving yourself the grace and the emotional space that you need to do whatever it is you need to do, even if it's nothing. You don't have to make an excuse. You don't have to set a reason why. If you don't feel like it, if the answer is no, it's okay. And you might have to start off telling yourself that it's okay to say no. You might want to say, not this time, but practice saying no. It's okay. It's really okay. Point number 4, types of boundaries to set. There are different types of boundaries that you can set. One can be an emotional boundary, right? You're guarding your emotions. You're guarding your time. A time boundary, a physical boundary, an energy boundary, right? You ever talk to somebody and when you talk to them, you find that like all of your energy is just zapped. Like you have nothing left after you can set a boundary, right? And how that you're going to interact with that person. You don't have to tell them, but you definitely need to know. And you can do all of these things, set all of these boundaries, and have no guilt about it. Why? Because you're taking good care of yourself. You're loving yourself and others well by doing this. And point number 5, you may need to create a couple scripts for saying no. For example, when you create a script, or you're practicing, right, saying no with grace, and you want to do it guilt-free. You want to do it in a language that is clear, in a language that is kind, but definitely guilt-free, right? So I have a couple examples of something that you might want to say. So how about this? Thanks for thinking of me, but I have to say no this time. I really appreciate you asking, but not this time. Or how about, that's not something that I can commit to right now, but I hope you find the right support. What about, I want to give it the time that it deserves, but right now I just don't have the time, so I'll have to pass. Or, it's not a good time for me right now, but feel free to check in later if it's still relevant, right? There are so many things that you can say and that you can do that will feel good to you, and possibly to the other person, but it's not about if it feels good to the other person. It's about you practicing how to say no, how to decline in a way that feels good to you, okay? So point number 6, and this is a good one. How do you handle pushback? Believe me, let me tell you now, if people are used to you saying yes all the time, yes, 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 even when they know you don't want to do it, and you say yes, and they still go along with it, sometimes you feel like, and they know I didn't have time to do this or that. Sometimes you may feel like that, right? But you can't blame the person, because you've trained them. They're so used to you doing it, even though they know that you really didn't want to, because you do it all the time anyway. They figure, oh, I'll just ask a couple of times and she'll just give in and she'll go ahead and do it. So know this, there probably will be pushback on the new and improved boundary setting you. But if you expect it, you don't have to get upset, you don't have to get angry. If you expect it, then you just know that you need to push back as well. You need to remain consistent with the boundaries that you set, because guess what? You're retraining people. That what you say is what you mean, and you're not gonna change your mind. And finally, point number 7, drum roll. It is the peace and the power that setting boundaries create for you. It's a game changer for your life. You begin to have the confidence and clarity and deeper connection with the people that you love, that you've been really, really wanting. You walk around with a new air about yourself. The connection that you have with your family, because you're not constantly getting into it with your family, your friends, your co-workers, right? The miscommunication is really lessened so much more, because you're communicating confidently and you're communicating clearly what it is that you need. And on that note, in order to do any of this, in order to set any of these boundaries, you have to first assess yourself. What is it that you really, truly need? What is that, right? Where are you operating, going against what you really value in order to please others, right? Think about those things, assess those things, write them down, and think about what it is that you really, really need, and begin to implement the boundaries, small things that align with your values, right? This is the way that you love yourself well, and that you create good connection with the people that you care about, and with your coworkers, and all kinds of relationships. I am so excited for you embarking on this new boundary setting journey in this portion of your life. It's going to be phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode where we're talking about boundaries and relationships. I really hope that you were able to take away some very helpful tips. Implement them into your life, and I would love to hear about how things are going, how, when you're implementing these different things, what's going on, what's happening, what's helpful, what's not, right? Let's talk about that stuff. I also want to tell you about this really helpful tool, and this is my book, Just Breathe. Learning to love yourself well through life's challenges. You see, it's a great big old picture of me. The link is in the description. You can just grab that. You can grab it at Amazon, but it's Just Breathe. Learning to love yourself well through life's challenges. There are so many strategies and tips and wonderful things in this book that will strengthen you and help you to become a better version of yourself. So go ahead and grab that, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Let's Talk About It podcast. See you soon.